So a couple days ago, I decided to download the Outriders demo, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. I definitely wasn't expecting it to be quite as good as it actually ended up being. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not really into looter shooters or Gears of War. I actually haven't really played Gears of War except for 5, and that was in the multiplayer. I just kind of missed out. And as far as the looter shooter genre goes, I tried to get into Destiny 1, Destiny 2, I even tried to get into Warframe, and I just couldn't do it. It was just not my thing. So I was a little surprised when I downloaded the demo just on a whim. I seen it on Steam. I didn't see really any reviews or first impressions of it. I didn't really care for the game that much. I was just looking for a co-op game to play. And we'll get into the co-op thing that's going on that I feel like is going to be an issue in this game. So let's talk about the combat first. On the surface, the combat seems like a bargain bin third-person shooter with a cover mechanic, things that we've all played 1,000 times. But right off the bat, you'll notice that you won't be utilizing the cover mechanic much. I mean, you can use it, but the whole point of the game is to use all these crazy abilities that your character has. And the abilities, the only way I can describe them is that they're just simply stupid fun. And when you mix the abilities with certain loot that you get, it really opens up the game. Like the shotgun that I'm using here, it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, there's not much else to be said about it. The level design, on the other hand, is a bygone of a time long past. It feels very archaic and very restrictive, all at the same time. Now, these could just be the opening levels that you play in the demo, but I doubt that the level design would change much in the rest of the game. The loot. Let's talk about the loot. Some of the loot that drops really drastically changes your abilities that you use, like right off the bat. It really changes the gameplay and pushes you to use certain abilities that you might have not used, and it keeps the combat fresh and makes the loot grind less like a grind. That was one of the first things I noticed, was how consistently rewarding the loot felt in this game. Now, this being a demo, you can't really judge things like that, I guess, because at a certain point the game might grind to a halt. You'd have to play the whole game to see how the loot is divvied up. And honestly, I don't really trust demos anymore, especially after Mafia 3. Jesus Christ, that felt like a scam. So the jury is still out on how rewarding the loot really is in the full game, but what I could tell you is, from what I played in the demo, it feels pretty damn rewarding. Okay, so let's talk about the story. It's not that good, but it's also not terrible. It's serviceable. That's probably the best thing I could say for it.
Mr. Chang sends his regard.
The biggest downfall is that the cutscenes are locked to 30 FPS. And sometimes when the cutscene's playing back, the objects in that cutscene I think are refreshing at a different frame rate, so it just looks really janky. And the camera shake. For some reason, they added so much camera shake that it's almost hard to focus on certain objects in that scene, those objects being the characters. So, the game is a mixed bag, but overall it's pretty good, I'd say. There's only one glaring issue here, and it's that this game was promoted as a online co-op looter shooter, but this game, in fact, does not have dedicated servers. Yeah, you heard me right. This game does not have dedicated servers. Now, I had no idea when I first played the game with my buddy, and I thought that the servers were just overloaded because it was the demo, but no, the game has no servers, and the game just ran very poorly in co-op.
But I need to go save his ass. At least some things never change.
Yeah, dude, these servers are so bad.
Yeah,
Like, this is terrible.
it's really bad.
This is actually terrible. They're almost unplayable.
Yeah, right on that fucking border.
Yeah.
Bro, you just... Wow. Okay.
Dude, you did too! You just teleported.
You see what I'm saying? Like... I couldn't even move for a second. Just want to see what happens when you die.
Right. You stuttery ass form. Bro, what the fuck?
See, and now it runs like a little better. Like right when the fucking shit ends.
Yeah.
Now, since this is an Unreal Engine game, they really had two options. They could have gone with dedicated servers, or they could have gone with listen servers. And I'll explain what a listen server is here in a second. And the reason I know they didn't go with dedicated servers is because Piotr Nowakoski, in an interview, stated as much. He said, when we were developing the game quite a few years ago, when making the choices, we made the decision, okay, we're not going with dedicated servers. Of course, on one side is the cost, or the other side are the technical solutions. And because we have 3-player co-op, we aren't forced to have dedicated servers. The current structure will be good enough. He goes on to say, we've developed the game with that in mind, and dedicated servers were on the table a long time ago, but we made the decision not to go in that direction. If something breaks for some reason, I'll say I was wrong, but right now, I'll say it works for us, and the way we're handling players, it should work. Okay, so what is a listen server? A listen server is a server that runs on the client machine. So that means whoever's hosting the game, that's who's hosting the server on their machine. Now, if the host of the listen server has a really bad connection, then everybody in that lobby is going to have a really bad time. If the players are far from each other, geographically, they're also going to have a bad time, mainly the person who connects to the host. Now, I have a gigabit connection, and I'm fairly certain I was hosting the game, and we still had a really bad time at it, because I think we were just way too far apart. I'm on the East Coast, my buddy's on the West Coast, so this solution is just not great. And a dedicated server would have been the best possible solution for a game like this. I know it's not a competitive shooter, but still. And yeah, dedicated servers cost a lot of money to host, but at the same time, when you promote a game that's a co-op looter shooter, but you don't have dedicated servers, it's kind of like, why? Like, why even promote it that way? The game still is fun by yourself, but it does feel like it's a co-op experience, or at least it should be experienced that way. And the lack of dedicated servers, I feel like will hinder your enjoyment of the game, at least in co-op anyway. And I guess that's about it. These were just some initial impressions of the demo, and I'm just a little bit disappointed. It's still a fine game, but, you know, it is what it is. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe, please. And most importantly...